we can make it quite on intensity. That's what we'll.
Hey, babe. All right, just admitting everyone.
Later.
Hey, guys. Thanks, you can hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Beautiful, mate. All right, cool. I'm going to talk about a few different things today. First thing I'm going to do, I think especially at crazy times like this, I think everyone's quite frustrated with the weather. A lot of people under a lot of pressure. So what the first thing I'm going to talk about is 10s, 25s and 50s. Who remembers that, what they are? Anyone remember what 10s, 20s and 50s are? Anyone remember that? That's a good start. Cool. All right, there's a guy by the name of Dr. Fred Gross. He's done a lot of work. He actually did a lot of work with McGrath's a long, long time ago. Really amazing man. He's in his 90s. I think at 85, he learned to ride a moped, and I think he did still doing half marathons in his 80s. Anyway, so he looked at this principle, like it's really easy to get into Groundhog Day, yeah? So we get up, not really that present, get to work, get through a day of work, come home, have dinner. Before we know it, like what have we actually done? What have we actually achieved and what happened? And then that can just, you know, get into, you know, habit on habit on habit on habit, and then go out weekend, get smashed and do it all over again. But a lot of people can get in that habit, or even just not being present at home with our partners or whatever else. So a 10 is something you can do all the time, and it doesn't cost you anything. So a 10 could be a text message to a friend. A 10 could be a coffee. 10 could be a hug. Instead of driving straight to work, it could be going down through one of the car parks in one of the beautiful spots where we live. So whether it's Wauchope and out, you know, go and see some trees somewhere, or whether it's or some beautiful mountains, or whether it's Southwest Rocks and go and, you know, actually go and see Horseshoe Bay instead of driving straight to work, or down to Flynn's or any other amazing places, you know, instead of just walking straight to Evans Head, walking up the road and getting a coffee. So at 10, something you can do really quick. It's talking to friends. Like I always say, most of us drive to work. Yeah, I'm looking at Alison. She doesn't have too far to go. But most of us have to drive to work. We can just drive to work, get in the zone, got to go to work. Or we can ring a family member, someone that beats us. So that's a 10. We can do lots of them. And what I would say to you in the next week is just start writing down a book at all those little things that make you feel good. What are those little things? And then tune into them. The next thing are 20s. 20s take a little bit more work. 20 you can't just do at the top of your head, at click of your finger, and they take a little bit of time. All right. So that might be going away for the weekend. That might be going for a nice dinner. That might be actually going for a Sunday drive. That might be going to the movies. That might be actually booking time to actually spend some time with the family. So it's something that takes a little bit of preparation. And then I think in your week, if you can make sure you get as many 10s in a normal day as possible, and then you, especially on the weekends, if one during the week, you can catch up with someone or do something, go, you know, that's where your 20s are at. And then on the weekend, you know, you realize that you don't waste your days as much. And they just take a little bit of organization to happen. Now, a 50 is something that you do a few times a year, right? And that's something you want to look forward to. So especially in sales, we can get scared. You know, that's when we really need to book our holidays. If you look at really all the elite performers, they work hard for 8 to 10 weeks. They have 2 weeks off, 8 to 10 weeks, bang, 2 weeks off. And then different periods of the time, they might take a little bit longer off the year. So like today, guys, just think about it. Like by the end of the day today, you know, either give someone a hug, a kiss, crack a joke, ring a family member, do something, have an extra coffee, drive home a different way just to enjoy where we are. On, you know, before the week's out, organize something on the weekend that's just a little bit more special than just freaking going, you know, getting through to Sunday, doing the housework and forgetting it, or going Saturday night and getting pissed and then waiting on Sunday. Put something in your life that you're going to enjoy. And then a 50, you know, when you're sitting down with Jake and doing your one-on-ones, what have you got planned? What's good? You buying an investment property? Are you going overseas? Are you renovating something? You know, what are we actually doing in our life so we've got something to look forward to? All right. Does that make sense? What did you get out of that, Al? You there?
No. She said the simplicity in doing the little things.
Simplicity in doing the little things. Beautiful. What did you get out of that, Dan?
Don't let one thing make you mope for a whole week.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. Have you got a 50 planned?
No.
No. Cool. All right. Well, text me when you got a 50. So do you understand the concept? The 10s, you can do them really, really little, easily all the time. Don't need to cost much money. A 20 doesn't cost a lot, but something that takes a bit of planning. And then a 50 generally does cost money and takes a bit of time to organize. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what 100 is?
No.
Hundreds when you do it with pre-tax money. Woohoo!
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Now, this is another little concept that I've been thinking about, or I thought about today. And you can stay on the line with me, Dan. Sometimes I think better is harder. Do you think that? Like sometimes if I want to be better, it's actually harder?
Yeah, at the start, yeah.
Yeah, it feels like it's harder, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But all this stuff that we're doing to become better is not to become harder. It's actually to become easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's harder at the start.
So if you practice your listing presentation, you're going to be better at your listing presentation. So that means you're going to get more and then you're going to sell more.
Yes.
And that means you don't need to go to as many appraisals to sell as many. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then when we list, if we do vendor management better, that means that we do asset for sale. We get it priced right. Our days on market are quicker. We sell them quicker. We've got to do less opens and our life is easier.
Yes. Yeah.
And then if we look at after service sale, and then if we communicate with our past clients, we keep in touch with them. We do the little things. We know that in 3, 5, 7 years, 10 years, they're going to come back and sell through us. E.g., we're going to get more stock and then life is easier.
Yeah. Exactly.
If we look after our wellness and we look after our energy, then we have more energy. Then getting through every day is absolutely easier.
Yeah, 100%.
That's a really simple concept, but I think with all this training and all this coaching and all this stuff we talk about, it's somewhere, it's something else, it's more, it's harder. We've got to do this. But all this stuff is actually to make life easier. Yeah?
Yeah. I think one of the things I struggle with is like it's harder at the start and it's like finding that like you just got to put aside the time to go and do it. So like role playing with somebody and then in 6, 12 months, or 2 years, 3 years, it will be easier sort of thing. It's just pushing through now.
Well, I watched the thing on Kobe Bryant, and Kobe Bryant, when he was 11, he wasn't that great. And then he practiced. So all the natural athletes, like all the really fit dudes, the strong dudes, between 12, 13, 14, were all over him. Become 14 and 15, because he practiced all those fundamentals, then he far outweighed them. And I think there's some natural salespeople in our team. There's some people that need to work harder, but if those ones that work harder, they'll far surpass the ones that have just got natural ability.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Yeah, 100%.
Cool. All right, Stokesy, why do you think I'm talking about 10s, 20s, and 50s in a sales meeting today and not talking about how to list and sell real estate?
Because that'll all lead into it. If you're living a successful personal life, it'll feed into your professional life.
Yeah. And so the other words that we might hear is fill your cup up. Fill your cup up. You've heard that saying, Stokesy?
Yep.
Beautiful. Not your beer cup.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. All righty. Okay. Now, the last thing I want to talk about, and this is a hard one, but I want us to think about, is as salespeople, we tell a lot of stories. We tell a lot of stories, and we also need to listen. And I think there's a fine line between being a storyteller and someone that needs to listen. And if you look at what we're going through now, you know, at different parts of our business, different people have got going on. Like, I don't know how Dave Parker went overnight, but there's a good chance water went through his place. There's water in the office. Kylie and that have lost their backyard. Katie doesn't know what's happened to her house. So we've all got different stories. And then, you know, last night I was checking on Jordan's. Like, it's really easy to talk our story and get our point across. And I think sometimes when we're with our vendors, it can be too much about I think we get caught up in the fact that we think we need to do that because we need to add energy, we need to add a story, we need to add excitement, we need to tell them our points of advantage to get them across. But at the same time, we need to ask lots of questions. So I think what I want to talk about is, who you got? Dave's place didn't get water through. That's bloody great news. That's awesome, awesome, awesome. Cool, Batesy.
Yes, mate.
Hello, buddy.
Hello, mate.
Hey, can you, like, there's people that just talk about them, yeah? Just
Yes.
about, yeah. And when someone's like that, how frustrating is it?
Oh, well, you basically switch off.
Yeah.
You're not
But you
engaged.
know what But you know what I find just as frustrating? Do you know anyone that just asks questions? Like, and so they
yeah.
chat, like, how was your weekend, Batesy? What did you do on the weekend, Batesy? What do you like? You know what I mean? Like, so I think there's two different types of people. There's people that are comfortable talking about themselves, and then there's other people that just ask a shitload of questions without sort of building a rapport. Do you know that type of person as well?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, cool.
They're just going through the motions.
Yeah, so what I want us to think about today, especially our listing presentation with guys, do we have flow? What do you reckon I mean by that, Batesy?
I probably have too much flow sometimes,
Mm.
but yeah, it should be an easy conversation. You know, where you're both engaged, you're both getting out of it what you want to get out of it, and you're getting to the final destination and agreeing. So it should be an easy conversation. Shouldn't be difficult.
Yeah. I think that's where we just need to work on. Sorry, guys, I just had a call. I got very distracted there for a second. ADD click. Can't do two things at once. So I think that's what we need to do, guys, is when you're with someone, when you're talking, I know it sounds weird. Think about, how am I connecting? How do you reckon you can work out how you're connecting with someone? Loads.
How can we connect with someone?
Well, how do I know if I'm connecting with you or not?
Well, you can just tell if the other person's engaged.
Yeah.
If their eyes are wandering, or if they're being, you know, if they're listening, if they're answering questions, asking you questions, etc.
Yeah. And how many listing presentations you've gone with another person? Like how many, like you've gone with Adam, you would have gone with a few different other people?
Yeah.
How obvious is it when you're not the one talking, but the other person's talking and you can tell the other person switched off a little bit?
Oh yeah, you can see their reaction for everything if you're with someone else.
But
you can tell when they float in and out. Yeah.
How about the other person doesn't pick it up?
Yeah. No, you can notice it.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a very common sense conversation that we're having now. But when we're with clients, I just want you to, like, sometimes what happens is, like, someone will tell me, like, someone might talk about the floods. All right. Okay. So someone tells you about the floods, and then I want to then build rapport. So then I tell my story about the floods, but my story at the floods is not on there. Like, it's not even, you know, like what they've been through is 20 times worse than what I've been through. So I go, floods, quick memory bank. How can I build rapport? I'll let them tell me my version, but instead I've got to shut up because I actually don't have a right, because I haven't been through what they've been through. Does that make sense? So
Yeah,
when we are trying to build rapport, when our little brain flipped up and goes, oh, bang, a little bit of information, or like, you know, imagine if you're talking to an NRL footballer and they go, oh, I played rugby league, and you, oh, cool, tell me about it. And then you go, oh, yeah, guess what? I paid under 17s for freaking Warhope C grade. You know what I mean? Like, it's a bit like that. Like, think, do I actually have something to add in this conversation or not? And then how can I relate that into that conversation? Yeah.
yeah.
So the moral of the story is in one, I want everyone to have 10s, 20s and 50s in their life. So they're full, their cup's full. And guess what? When you're doing the 10s, 20s and 50s, this is where it relates to this conversation. Guess what? You've actually got something to talk about. You've actually got something to add because your life's more full. Ducky, talk to me about flowing a conversation. What'd you get out of that?
I think as an overview, I think it's just protecting your energy, and then that way you can be more engaging when you're actually speaking with people.
Yeah, cool. So, bros.
Yeah, mate.
I mean, you're a very empathetic guy. How hard have you found it talking to different people with different stories in your community at the moment, where you want to show empathy and care, but you don't have your story's different to their story? What have you found, mate? What's helped for you?
I think just taking a step back, Dave, and what you said before about just realizing that you might have a story, but you don't know theirs, and just don't put people in a box. Don't judge them by what they look like. Just sort of take a step back, take a deep breath, and just listen. Like, that's what I've found recently. There's no point being the show pony and saying, I've done this, I've done that. You just need to slow down, and it's a bit more time consuming, but it's being the humble and hungry, not aggressive.
Yeah. What I found is that sometimes when someone rings me, they attack me straight away. They've got my number, and I don't even know what they're calling for. And my first line of defense is to give it back. Yeah, I'm thinking, I don't even know who you are. I don't even know your problem, and you're attacking me. I have this little thing where I imagine they're our biggest client, Elder's biggest client, like you wouldn't shoot back if it was our biggest client. So whether it's a tenant, a landlord, a tradesperson, like a person on the street that's just got the shits that someone's left a signboard out, like, just shut up and listen and stay calm through that first bit of the conversation. Imagine it's our biggest client. And then that gives me the patience to get to a point where I can actually keep going with that conversation.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Just taking that little bit of time to flick the switch and just, back off. Just don't take on their emotion, and be present, I think.
I love that story. I think I've told it before, but there's some new people online. It's like there was a man on the train. Anyway, his kids were going nuts. His kids were screaming, carrying on, and the whole carriage were like, oh my God, these kids are out of control. Anyway, they've gone down another 3 stations, and kept going. Finally, the man's apologized and said, anyway, everyone was about to lose it, like strangle these kids. And then the man goes, I'm so sorry. My wife died last night and I just don't know what to do. And then all of a sudden there was empathy on the train carriage, and everyone had understanding, and everyone didn't hear the kids screaming. Like, what changed? Nothing, just the story. You know what I mean? Like, nothing changed.
So true.
Nothing changed, just the story. So to finish off today, that's the last thing I want to talk. What story are all you guys telling each other in your brain right now? You know, like, what story? You know, oh, poor me. Oh, I'm not this, or I'm not that, or I'm not this. Like, what is your actual story? I don't have time. You know, so no matter your age, no matter your family situation, no matter your weight, no matter your education, no matter your background, no matter your experience, there's someone out there, and I don't mean this to demotivate you, but there's someone out there doing more with what you've got. There is someone out there doing more with what you've got, or there's someone out there doing more with more stuff going on than you. It's just the way the world works. You know, there's incredible people all over the world. And I'm not saying that to demotivate you, but to motivate you to know that no matter what your circumstance, there is, if you want it, there's a possibility to get more if you want it, no matter what. It's just what story you're telling yourself. And we are the best storytellers in the whole entire world. So, you know, as salespeople, we were out there telling, but what's the story in your head at the moment? Oh, I'm tired. Oh, I'm sick of the weather. Oh, this is not right. Oh, I think I'm sick of sales. Oh. Yeah, but mate, that story won't work wherever else go. Like, successful people only they're successful in the environment they are, and then they go to another environment, they're successful. Then they go to another environment, they're successful. People that are in their world right now with a negative story, until they change that story, won't be any more successful. What do I mean by that, Brendan?
Well, the story you're telling yourself in your head every day pretty much is going to shape your life. So I think if you don't get that right, then you might as well give it up now, because if that's like, even if you do make some progress, the story you're telling yourself is going to bring you back to where you were.
Yeah. And from a guy from, you know, mid North Coast, had aspirations and looked at Sydney and told you a story about that life. Like, tell me about that lesson in your life. I mean, I know you've shared it before, but it's good for some of the other people. Like that world of comparison. Oh, they've got it different, or it's better there, or they've got this. Like, tell me about that story.
Yeah, well, that's I guess the grass always looks greener and all, and you're trying to chase something. And I'll never forget, like, I went for a walk with you one day. It was before I went to Sydney, and I had all these goals to be #1 in Port Macquarie and write $1 million and whatever it is. And you said, when you get there, what are you going to do? And that's, I hadn't really thought about that, but didn't understand that. And then I saw that image. I thought maybe Sydney was where I needed to be. And when I got there and actually saw it for what it was, like, nothing against the guys down there, but it wasn't a life that I wanted. And then realizing actually how good we had it here in Port Macquarie, and what I'd built here was something that I need to leverage off and actually build a life that I enjoyed every day. It wasn't all about work.
Yeah, cool. So if you look at what Brendan said then, we started today with the 10s, 25s and 50s, because, guys, I want you all to have a life. You know what I mean? That's where we started today's sales meeting at, because I know that when you're at full cup, you're a more interesting person. You're going to build rapport. You're going to do business better. Yeah. All right. Then we've talked about how we're actually talking to people. Like, you know, like, especially buyers. If you go on, oh, what have you looked at? You know, like, buyer questions, like, whoa, g'day, mate. How you going? How's your Saturday? Yeah, good. Sweet. You got a big weekend planned. Blah, 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 blah. Slow into it. Not just like, oh, how many have you seen today? Is there anything you liked? Have you missed out on anything? Do you live in this postcode? Like, sure, you need those things, but that's how you fucking sound. Like, I know Stokes laughing, but that's how we sound. As soon as I get 3 questions, mate, like, I've joked for years, you get 3 questions, that's all you get with me. Bang, 3 questions, shut up, go away. But build it into a story, build into rapport. And then, like what Brendan's saying, like, what story are we telling ourselves? You know what I mean? It's just balance. Cool. Who we got left? Jakey, what'd you get out of that today?
The cup. The cup's always got to be filled.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Cool. Chris, what'd you get out of that today? Cool. Adam, you there?
Yeah, mate.
What'd you get out of that today?
So yeah, the 10s, 20s and 50s, you know, like, just make sure you are doing those small things that make you feel good, because there's all the crap that's going on at the moment.
Exactly. Brayton.
Just to have things planned and enjoy things outside of work, and then also to slow down and, like you said, listen to everyone else's story as well.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. And then like, for the younger guys, I used to use all my boss's stories in listing presentations, because someone more experienced can possibly list over you because of their experience. So I used to make sure I'd say, I've learned this at a sales meeting, I learned that, or this has got this buyer, or mate, I've never seen a better agent than X, or this or that. They use the experience and use other people's stories. Everyone that's been around here long enough has heard Arthur and Napoleon stories a million miles. You know, learn, use those stories. You know, e.g., you know, Jake will talk about Rick. Like, everyone's got a mentor or something where they've learned a lot off. Alex.
Yep.
What'd you get out of that today?
I think with the 10s, 25s, and 50s, help you organise your personal life, and that'll lead into organising yourself better in your business life.
Yeah, beautiful. Your partners will love the 10s more than anyone because they're short and sharp, easy to do. Cool. Maddie King, what'd you get out of that?
Yeah, just the 10s, 20s, 50s. It all adds up. And all those things you do equals things to talk about with your clients, and just making sure that cup is full.
Yeah. In that, some of those are going to be connecting with the community. You're going to meet more people, blah, 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 blah. Cool. Isabella.
Don't let work control your life. You got a life. Just do it.
Yep. And then one thing I've been learning with Jeff Jowett at the moment, and don't take this the wrong way, but like business is just a game. You know what I mean? Like it's just a game. We come here and gamify it. I'm not saying we don't care about people. We don't have value and purpose, outside our business, but it's there to build our life, not to dictate our life. Dan Slater.
Yeah, just going back to like just filling your cup with other things so that if like something does happen, it doesn't ruin your whole week and you can stay focused on and motivated on other things.
Yeah, and then if you lose a listing presentation, like go and do 2 10s and turn it back on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Tash.
She says, make sure you got something to look forward to.
Cool. Smiles.
Definitely back to that 10s, 20s and 50s and the story that you tell yourself. So, I'm sure like you've got 5 minutes during your lunch break to give your friend a call or give yourself a bit of a, go for a walk or do something else to uplift your energy. Rather than just telling yourself, oh, I don't have time, I'm too tired, this and that. So just getting out of your own head.
Yeah, we all drive
little things.
We all drive home. There's plenty of time there to ring someone. Only takes a minute. Bill.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I like the idea of the 10s, 20s, and the 50s. It's sometimes it can look like it's a bit of effort or a bit of work to commit to it. It's a bit like if I go, I'd love to go for a surf, but the surf's no good here. I've got to drive there. But I don't know how many times that I've come back from a surf. Well, I don't think I've ever done that and said, gee, I wish I didn't do that. And it just gives me the energy, and that's it. It sort of creates the energy for that sort of focus and commitment to the other areas in my life. So yeah, I like the idea of quantifying something that's not generally quantified or put a value on, with, this is a 10 or this is a 20. And I like that idea to give it that sort of focus as well.
Well, if we did in a workshop, what we'd do is write down 50 10s, and then there might be 20 20s, and then there might be 5 5s, and then you just pick them off. You know what I mean? You just look at what they are, and also it makes you take for granted that hug, that kiss, that smile, that joke, that freaking, we live in parts, like you have a decision. You drive into work or do you go through Horseshoe? You can go get your coffee and sit at your desk or take that minute. When we eat our lunch, do we just eat it there or do we take a minute to drive out to the jail? Like all those different, you have an option that add to our life. Heathy.
Yeah, mate, how are you? I like the hundreds as well that you were talking about. So, but either that, but one of the things I pick, I like being slapped in the face at times. However, that reaction that you spoke about before, like, realizing who you're speaking to, and they are people. But yeah, I have to slow down a bit at times. So, I do like that. You sit there and think about them as someone else other than the person that's saying something to you, because I can certainly, you throw something at me, I throw something back generally pretty hard, but I've got to slow down and catch it and just, realize it's only a softball.
Yeah. And then, just imagine they got 50 blocks of land.
Yeah, I had that conversation yesterday with someone else actually. So we've had a fairly big exchange with a vendor who I've had a blue with over the years, and he's in Canada, and we've got a bit of a mutual sort of problem. You know, I've got $4 million listens out of it from a long conversation of text messages, like, you know, like we're at each other dead set for all day, just boom, 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 fuck you, and then it's like, okay, we've now got the common ground, and can you sell that shit for $4 million each? Oh, for $1 million each? Yeah, okay, we can do that. Sweet, no worries, do it. You know, so there is something at the other end at times.
Hence, I always leave Heath to last. But anyway.
Anyway, hey, but hey, $4 million listings is what you want.
Yeah. Batesy.
Slow down.
Batesy.
Yes, mate.
I mean, this is the one, and that story one. You know what I mean? What story we're telling? I think that's a huge one, isn't it, Batesy?
It is a big one, but I think it comes down to not just thinking about yourself, thinking about others, and also having the discipline to do the 10s, 20s, and 50s. You know, I think for me, it was, I forgot about gym for a few months, you know, and that really is a 20 for me. You know, to do that every day puts me in the right headspace. So you've got to make that appointment.
Cool. All right, gang. I hope you all got something out of that. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.